Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So, this video is going to be basically about us going into spiritual warfare against witchcraft. That's what it's going to be about. You know, that's what time it is. You know, I'm hooking up with a church now in New Orleans. I found a church in the Treme area. Yeah, in the Treme area. And that's one of the most how do I put it? First of all, it's the oldest, which I didn't know it's the oldest. This is the first time I've heard about this neighborhood or community. It's the oldest African American community in America. So I mean, just the the coincidence in that, you know. But how I found this church in New Orleans, in the Treme area. How I even found the Treme area was I was looking up the most concentrated places of witchcraft in New Orleans, in the African American community that practice the most witchcraft in New Orleans. And so what came up was the Treme area and 7th Ward in New Orleans. So those two places, me being the person I am, a researcher, I didn't stop there because what I got from the Google search was Treme and 7th Ward. So I figured those are probably two different neighborhoods. And they were. The Treme area in New Orleans and the 7th Ward are the two places where the most witchcraft historically has went on in the black community. That's what I wanted to find. That was on my to-do list. That was on my to-do list, and I finally got that done. I've been meaning to do that for quite some time. The only reason I didn't is because I found a church some time back in the French Quarter, and I was working with a church in the French Quarter, and seasons change and times pass, and you gotta move forward with what God wants you to do and exactly where He wants you to go, because it could be for a specific reason. When it comes to giving offerings, you could give to 1 million churches, but the average person don't have $1 million. Okay, so you gotta be selective about what churches you give to and what seasons you give to the churches. You know, I started out at the French Quarter in New Orleans, giving in a church in the French Quarter. But what I looked up was that the witchcraft down there is more commercial and on a tourist level and a commercial, kind of on a commercial level. But the witchcraft that you would see that New Orleans is famous for comes from the Treme community in 7th Ward. That's the most potent place historically, and then I would imagine branching out from there. But yeah, so I found the Treme community, which is the oldest African American community in the country. Okay, that's the oldest African American community in the country. And that means nowhere in the South, nowhere on the West Coast, North New York or Midwest, anywhere. I didn't know that. So I just happened to find, with looking for a church in the most concentrated places of witchcraft in New Orleans, I happened to find the oldest African American community in the country. And so I sent a lot of people wouldn't even know this off the cuff. You know, that's something Who knows what the oldest African American community? I would have never knew, but it is. That's what it says. Makes sense being down south. Uh, but yeah, I would imagine that's the most dominant black neighborhood, which means that they really had on their own besides white people and things like that. I would imagine it pertains to that as opposed to literal locations where black people were put or where they were. I guess this would be the neighborhood that was the first of their own neighborhood, so yeah, I found that, and that's gonna hit good because see what we can't let people do, because there's a lot of black people that's good for doing it, is let them let them push us out of being black or push us out the black community. You don't let nobody push you out the black community. You know what I'm saying? And it's people that will conspire to do that. It's corny people in my case that, that's not black. They probably infatuated with being black, but and so they're stuck on it, and I'm not stuck on it, but at the same time, we don't let people push. And when I say stuck on it, that means I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not. I don't think it's God. I don't think being black is God. I think God is God. But with that being said, it'll be people that try to take it from you because they never had it. So it's easy for people to think that way if they don't have it. Does that make sense? But you don't never let nobody take from you being black, or you being connected to good black people. You know what I'm saying? You don't never let nobody take that from you. It don't matter what war is going on. You know what I'm saying? They gotta perish. They gotta perish and fall off. And we still gonna be with good black people. And while these other black people fall off, the best way to put it is like this. There's a war between the righteous Africans and the wicked Africans. There's a war between the righteous Africans and the wicked Africans, so that people understand that these commercialized people over here with white America, they might think they can take people's blackness. That's what the attempt is, because they're used to, maybe even here in New York, they're used to being unchallenged when it comes to blackness. Like, so as soon as you're challenged, you think it's against blackness, and then you can take that person's blackness. But in this case, no, man, listen, I'm from North Carolina. You're not gonna take my blackness. It's impossible. Even if I don't want nothing to do with it per se, God is gonna restore it. He's gonna make sure that I'm walking in the right spirit. He gonna make sure I'm still with his good black people, that's in his kingdom. So, I just found another church, another ministry down in New Orleans that is going to be where I'm going to give to next in the next 2 days. So I'm just going to shoot that down there in the next 2 days, down there to the Treme community, and where the most concentrated witchcraft was and is, and and it's not too far from the 7th Ward too. So that's just kind of two birds with one stone to put on for Jesus and to represent Jesus down in that area, for the prophet to have a connection down in that area. I already had been working with the city of New Orleans, with the French Quarter. I had already been working with them, and I got a couple books down from down there in the French Quarter. These 2 books from New Orleans. These are 2 books from New Orleans. The author, Robert Preston, that's him right there. Yeah, so he's down in the French Quarter. So these books come from down there in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? So I that's proves I've been working with New Orleans for quite some time. Um, yeah, I've been working with them for quite some time, and but in the back of my mind, I've been wanting to get a church in the hood, so to speak. But then because it's New Orleans, I didn't go with usual my usual format, which is to find a church in the toughest neighborhood in the city. I didn't go with this format uniquely because New Orleans is known for so much witchcraft. I thought it would be better to find a church that's in the middle of the most concentrate witchcraft community in New Orleans, which is the Treme and Seventh Ward community, both of them, and that's within specifically the African American community of concerning witchcraft and the most potent forms of witchcraft in the African American community in New Orleans. So I wanted to find a church in that area because the reason why is because I know those leaders in that church is going to understand witchcraft. They're going to understand. I already communicated with them by email and sent them an email and everything and let them know the whole situation. This room I'm in, all the witchcraft being used in this area. I already let them know. I already sent them an email and let them know I'm gonna send an offering too. But I checked them out and made sure, I ran through it with a fine-tooth comb and made sure that, there was no something that I didn't agree with in their mission statement, something I didn't agree with in their beliefs, and it's pretty thorough. So with that being said, it's for in March. I'm gonna use this ministry against witchcraft because I know they specialize in it. See, I went about looking to see if I could find a ministry that specialized in witchcraft, but I was thinking that's gonna be harder to find because a lot of churches don't state that they specialize in fighting witchcraft, right? So the best idea is to find a church that's in the middle of all that witchcraft because they're going to be aware of it and they're going to be a community that's going to be a church that's going to fight it if it's right there in the middle of it. So that's why I found a church in the Treme area, and I probably find one in the 7th Ward area maybe later on, moving ahead, maybe next year or so. But I think I'm going to just stick with that one for this year. They believe in giving. They believe in giving offerings, all of that good stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm satisfied with that because they show a deeper understanding in giving offerings, so it will be appreciated and it will be understood when I send it. It won't be like they won't understand why I'm sending them the money. Most churches is gonna understand. Most churches are gonna understand, but they show deeper understanding about giving offerings at this church in the Treme community. So that's what I'm gonna be working with. Because it's just time. It's just time to really fight witchcraft, because that's what it is. It's more that than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the cowardly approach to especially Christians that they gonna use is witchcraft, concentrate witchcraft, putting us in witchcraft neighborhoods. I suspect basically this neighborhood is a witchcraft neighborhood. Basically, the whole thing, the whole community. And I'm just not stupid. I know. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this whole neighborhood I live in is probably a witchcraft neighborhood because I got this little I was placed here by a program, and that program I know works with Freemasons or Illuminati or American government, and they put me in a neighborhood where there's concentrate witchcraft, and in the building definitely, and I believe in the community itself, the whole surrounding community, meaning the neighborhoods, the couple of neighborhoods that I'm around. It's all concentrate witchcraft. So they thought they would be cute to put me in this situation, but it's all backfiring on their community. So, I mean, that's why all this stuff is happening. We just now getting the snow up here. So, this is the fast. I'm fasting for 3 days. I got 1 day done. I'm working on day 2. And I'm halfway through day 2 as of the 6 hours. So, yeah, I'm halfway. 4 more minutes, I will be halfway through the second day. So tomorrow I'll be coming off. It'll be 3 days. I've just wanted to fast while this snow is coming down because it's a good time while the energy is slowed down out there to speed up in the spiritual realm and do some things while all this witchcraft is slowed down. At least the mobile witchcraft. The mobile witchcraft is more slowed down, and people walking on foot doing witchcraft is slowed down because that's what they like to do, is walk around where you live at and try to use witchcraft, and drive around where you live at and try to use witchcraft. So, that's all slowed down, and so I'm going to be fasting. Obviously, they'll try to use the building while everything is slowed down out there. They'll try to use the building because they can't really walk around out there. They can't drive around. So they'll be trying to use this building more than anything in a couple days. So that's how you got to understand it. You got to pay attention to all the logistics of the geographics of where you live at, the whole infrastructure and how it moves and how it works against you. So I'm doing a fast right now. So while this natural storm come in, I can bring a spiritual storm in with it. So I'm already a day into it, almost 2 days. And it's just what you gotta do. It's just what you gotta do. Also I just gave $73,000 in the past couple of days to Colombia. So I put $73,000 down there. Yeah. It's going real good. That's been like 3 days. That's gonna be 3 days today since I gave that $73,000. Yeah. That's gonna be about 3 days. Yeah. So, it's just all about fasting and giving the offerings. I'm very excited about that, though, to give to a church in a New Orleans neighborhood, because I know they understand witchcraft. I know the anointing that's on their life is going to be a major total problem for any witchcraft that's being done against me. When I start working with people down there, it's gonna be a whole different ball game. And finally, I really that's what I really set out to do. As far as New Orleans, I thought about the French Quarter. I kind of just went with that because I know that Marie Laveau was born down there, which is the queen of voodoo. She was born in in the French Quarter. So I looked at that, and I'm pretty sure people work witchcraft down there. I think I might have looked around and saw that, but really what I was shooting for is what I'm doing now. Basically, 2 years later, shy of 2 years later. I started that in 2024. Like 2 years ago, I was working with New Orleans, basically. Almost 2 years ago. So it's been about 2 years ago since I've been working with New Orleans. And so, now it's ramped up to basically where I initially wanted it to be, which was my idea was to find a church that was in one of the areas where the most witchcraft is being used, and start supporting that ministry where the most witchcraft is in the area, because I'm smart enough to know that if they live in these areas where they know witchcraft is, they're going to specialize in defeating it. The spiritual power that's on their life, the spiritual DNA, is going to be against it. It's going to repel it. It's going to be powerful enough to defeat it. As opposed to you find some Christians that don't even believe in witchcraft. I mean, I've found Christians that don't even believe in it. I've dated women that say they don't believe in witchcraft. Like, what you mean you don't believe in it? It's in the Bible. It talks about it in the Bible. So how you don't believe in something that's in the Bible? They almost acting like it's superstition, because a lot of people are not educated on witchcraft. They're not educated. It's a lot of Christians that's not educated. That's another reason we got to leave a lot of American Christians behind, because they're not educated on witchcraft. You go to Africa, they are aware of it. You go to Jamaica, they're aware of it too. So it's not a Christian thing. It's an American Christian thing. That's what I summed it up to. Because people in Africa, they talk about the witchcraft being used and what we must do. People in Jamaica, I listened to a woman in Jamaica talk about the witchcraft and what must be done. So, it comes a point, place, and time that, you got to get with those who understand what's going on. Because that's what's being used more than anything is witchcraft, more than the telepathy and psychic divination. It's also witchcraft that's being used, and that's just common sense. If they're using any type of spirituality, they're definitely gonna try to use witchcraft with it. So besides the little mind readers that they use, which y'all might call monitoring spirits, they're also using witchcraft of different various denominations of witchcraft. Hoodoo, voodoo, they're using that for black people. For black people, they're using 3: voodoo, hoodoo, and obeah. And that's what the Allen people, the Allen witchcraft, that's going to be obeah. So I'm aware of obeah, I'm aware of hoodoo and voodoo. Okay, those are the 3. And so I've been fighting them. I've been fasting against them. That's why I broke through. That's why they can't prevent what I'm doing, because I'm fasting against them too. But I really wanted to get down to New Orleans, spiritually speaking, and collaborate with people down there that are very aware of the nature of witchcraft, the nature of witches and warlocks, and learning and knowing the games they play. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm very glad that I found a church in the Treme area. Next year, I'm probably gonna work with 7th Ward, or I might do it this year. I don't know. I gotta fill it out, but I'm gonna definitely work with the Treme area for about a year, and I'm gonna just keep them in connection. It's just gonna stay in connection. But every year is different with far as who I give to. I'm gonna be giving to Columbia, and most of this year, I'm gonna be giving to Columbia, because it's a no-brainer for me. The offering is bigger down there than giving offerings up here, because I can take USD and give it to the South Americans, to the Colombians, and it's more. I'm going to be doing more for God's people down there. So that's the main place I'm going to be giving to. I can give more. I can get more out of my USD seed, if you will. And because of the value exchange of the currencies with the USD and the Colombian, it's like $1 is like a $3,000. So it's a no-brainer for me to work with God's people down there, and so that the harvest is greater. So God gave me that spiritual understanding, so I can really maximize what I have. Like, I put $1 million down there recently, a whole million, and so that's my first $1 million transaction, and I'm not stopping there. I'm already thinking about a $2 million transaction very soon. Very soon, I'm gonna do a $2 million transaction. And we're gonna keep moving forward. I mean, it's nothing to misunderstand about the situation. We gotta keep moving forward, and understand that witchcraft is the main thing that they use. That's the main thing they use. And how they tried to get cute was they tried to use whole communities of witchcraft. That's how you need to hear it. They're using whole neighborhoods of witchcraft. They got witchcraft neighborhoods. And if you have to go through housing as what you might say a chosen one, or a man of God, or a Christian, and you are a high target, they're going to put you, if they have to locate you somewhere from the American government, if you are a high-ranking Christian, most likely they're going to put you in a witchcraft neighborhood. That's what they're going to do. That's why you got to find a community that is experts in defeating witchcraft, that is experienced, to have their experience in defeating witchcraft. Because all they're going to do is try to send the most highest ranking witchcraft people against you, the most highest ranking witches and warlocks against you. That's what they're going to try to do. Okay? And it's a mentality. It's a mentality to try to defeat you with witchcraft. And so, you can't really talk to religious people because they're not in the battle. You got to remember, religious people are not in the spiritual battle. They're subject to it, but they're not in it. You see the difference? They're subject to it because they still gonna get attacked, but they're not on the front lines. They're not active on the offense like we are. We're on the offense. We're not just guarding ourselves for the next attack. We're on the offense, attacking the enemy. And so we're proactive, and that's what they're not used to. We're proactive about it. We're fighting to defeat these people, because the Bible says, "Suffer not a witch to live." God commanded that witches be put to death, and that's something that a lot of American Christians might be straying from now, because they feel like that might be offensive, or there might be hope in saving these people. But besides the hope in saving these people, you still have to come to terms with God's mentality about these people. So even though you might be the type of person that will see a spiritual war, and instead of fighting alongside of us, you might be trying to help them get saved. You see how that looks? Okay, there's a spiritual war going on. You're trying to, we're being fought by these people, but you're just going to pray for them to be saved while we're still at war with them. We're still at war with them while you're just praying for them to be saved, you know. So it's corny, it's goofy Christians like that in America, you know. And but I'm reminded of God's word that says, "Suffer not a witch to live; they must be put to death." It talks about psychics also being put to death, because a psychic will think, "Well, I'm not malicious. I'm not an evil person. I just read minds or read at events and everything." But the Bible makes it clear that mediums and psychics must be put to death. So witches, mediums, and psychics must be put to death. And so you got some Christians that will not have that as the foundation of God's mentality about this situation. And they'll just be goofily trying to save people. You know, and they're not able to distinguish the difference between people that use witchcraft that you can save per se, or you can ask them to, you can talk to them about the Lord, and those who have targeted you and they're focused on you. The other person, the other witch is not focused on you, but they are, right? In other words, the witches that's focused on you have to be put to death if they're consistent. That's it. They're not in the category of just a witchcraft person that isn't using witchcraft against you. They don't know you. They don't mean any harm by you, and you just happen to witness to this person. That's a different situation. But if they using witchcraft against God's people, that it's only one way to look at that. They got to be put to death. And then, you know, you got goofy people that will think that there's some type of hope, but meanwhile, these people are dedicated to witchcraft. They're dedicated to darkness. And I don't think people realize how deep the roots are when people are connected to darkness and dedicated to darkness. So it's not a lot of hope with getting them out of witchcraft for the average person that's into it. It's not a lot of hope, and that's just reality. Okay, let's start there. There's not a lot of hope. You know what I'm saying? These people they take oaths of darkness, oaths to be in darkness, and it's not a lot of hope that you would think as an evangelist for saving these people. And that's being realistic, because at the end of the day, they got to use their free will. They got to use their free will. And imagine them living in a world of darkness and witchcraft and just using their free will. I mean, to come to God. It may happen here and there, but we're going to use wisdom in the average situation and realize that most people using witchcraft are dedicated to darkness, and they're not going to come out of it. Okay, that's just it. And so I'm not stuck on stupid thinking about it and worrying about it. I'm going to go with what's going on around me, and I'm going to get to work. It's that simple. Especially when they targeted me. You know, it's different if you know, if I was out there targeting witch people. If you notice, Christians don't witch hunt people. No pun intended. We don't go out there witch hunting. You know, so if a witch hunts me, then what you think I'm gonna do? Because I'm not out here witch hunting. I'm not out here but I'm gonna target those who target me. And if it's a whole community, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna become a donkey about it. I'm gonna go wild like a donkey. I'm gonna go wild like a donkey. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go against everything I can find that got something to do with witchcraft. meaning the most highest ranking witches in New York and these other cities, we gonna target them. Because now we realize it's a collective effort of witchcraft. It's not just people that here and there. It's a community. That's how you need to hear it. And with that being said, we gonna consider that in each city, they gonna go, these secret society people gonna go to the highest ranking witches in each city to fight us. That's what they're gonna do. That's how corny they are. Their movements are easily calculated by their corny mentality. Their corny mentality is, we gonna go over here and get the greatest witches and warlocks. Being that simple and corny in your approach, it's gonna all backfire, and it's gonna be very predictable. You know, I already know that. So, like in my city, for example, in Charlotte, I already covered all the highest ranking witches in fastings. I already did it. I found them, the ones that you can contact by phone and email that you can find, basically in the yellow pages, so to speak. You know, I found those people who work witchcraft in Charlotte, the highest ranking ones that's available for service, and I targeted them with fastings because I just figured, especially being Charlotte, they definitely, that being my hometown, they definitely gonna have some people that's against me go there, you know. So, you know, I covered that. And I'm probably gonna do some covering of high-ranking witches that's available for service here in New York City and Brooklyn and all these different places. See, once the war breaks out, then that's when I start to target. That's what I supposed to do. But before that, I didn't even think of going against witchcraft people or targeting witchcraft people. But once you target me, I'm definitely gonna target you. And that's even in their own community. Because see, this is what some Christians don't know. In the Christian community, in the witchcraft community, they fight against each other. They're not all together. You might see these images on movies and things like that. If you're not aware of real witches and warlocks, I've seen real witches and warlocks, and I've heard their conversations. I found them online, you know, and I just watched their videos and got understanding of real witches and warlocks. And a lot of them fight each other. They're jealous. They go through all the things human beings go through. They're jealous of each other. Ones that are available for service that have more clientele and more fame, you know, people will be jealous of them, you know what I'm saying, because of that. And so they fight among each other. That's one thing that a Christian might not know, that that don't know nothing about the witchcraft community. They fight among each other. They put what they call work on each other. They put work on each other. They do definitely fight each other with witchcraft. So they use it against each other. Okay? That's something that most Christians wouldn't understand. You would think they're all in unison and unity. No, they're not. They hate each other for all different types of reasons. You know what I'm saying? And so I understood. I get the understanding of those who work witchcraft, and all of them are not as malicious as you may think. You know, and they use understanding. Like what I trip off of is the ones that just use witchcraft like a gangbanger. Like you just target people and just think you're gonna just ride by and slide by and just use witchcraft. And what you don't realize is that energy that you put out has to come back. It has to come back to somebody, because it ain't gonna go on me. It ain't gonna get on me. So anytime you try to send in on witchcraft, like for example, they have these people knocking on the door and saying little stuff, and they call it a wellness check. But in this case, the wellness check is used as a point to use witchcraft. They think I'm stupid. They think I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. So even though because in these facilities, like I'm in a facility waiting for housing, so it's emergency housing while I'm waiting for an apartment, right? So-called apartment. It's all Freemasonry and Illuminati and stuff and all that. But let's just stick to what is told to us that it is, right? Okay, so they say by law in this building while I'm here, they knock on the door as a wellness check. First of all, they don't care. They want you to die. They hoping you die. Okay, so it's not a wellness check. It's a check, if anything, to destroy your wellness. If anything, they're knocking on the door as a form of witchcraft. That's what it is, or psychological triggers. So that's me watching this with time and over time, and being in this building and watching over time. And but I'm fasting against the whole staff in this building. I'm fasting against the tenants and everybody that's resident, old and new and future. Even if they leave here, I'm still fasting against those people. That's how high ranking I am. I play for keeps. In other words, if I'm going to war with you, it's not gonna stop. It's not gonna stop. That's my definition of playing for keeps. I'm not gonna stop, and you're gonna be my enemy until you're done. Okay, I play for keeps. That's my definition of it. So, people think they can get something started, and then, like for example, me waiting on another apartment to be at. Some people might think they're gonna play with me for a little while, and then I'll move on, and it'll be over. No, it's not gonna be over. I play for keeps, which means you still gonna be my enemy when I leave here, or if you leave here. That's how it works. I don't play cartoon monkey games. Okay, you play with me, and then it's gonna be on until you die. And that's a part of the spiritual posture that people that are clowns and cowards that work witchcraft are not prepared for it. They're not prepared for you to fight them till they die. They might think you're gonna have a little scuffle with them, and then you go about your business and go to another stage of life, and you're not around them no more, and then it's over. I don't do that. Everybody that's even like for example, I was living in Queens on Astoria Boulevard. So I stayed in that apartment for like 3 years. Everybody that's there, I'm still fasting against them. I'm fasting against all the people that was there, that was represented, that I could pick out. People that stuck out, I'm still fasting against them. I'm still fasting against that community of Jackson Heights and Astoria Boulevard right now. And see, clowns think once I left, it was over. Okay, well, that's what you thought. You thought my mentality was like yours. And so see, a person that doesn't realize mentalities within spirituality is the ones that become casualties. Because you didn't realize mentalities within spirituality, which I once again, back to my free will. I know I can do a lot more than these religious Christians think they can do, and God will still be with me. And see, that's my mentality, that I can fight a lot harder, a lot stronger, and a lot longer until you die, and I will still be a Christian. Now see, they on the other hand out here, these religious Christians, their mentality with their spirituality is not like mine. So their mentality with their spirituality is they gonna love people and try to practice evangelism to save these people. And that's where their mentality is with their spirituality. But I can back my mentality that I have with the Bible, with my spirituality, right? And my mentality that comes from the Bible will move my spirituality to fight these people until they die. And I can back that with the Bible, this mentality that I have. Okay, they just not used to it here in America. But I can show you in Africa how Christians in Africa do not let witches play with them. I can show you how Christians in Jamaica do not let witches play with them. It's only in America where you have this more docile type of Christian, and that feels like we could get them saved, we can evangelize these people, we can love these people. And like I said, in most cases, these people are not going to turn from darkness. They're not going to do it. And this is how you know in most cases they're not going to do it, because they took oaths, and they want certain things out of witchcraft, which is usually success, money, everything that comes with the material world. Okay, so imagine them just walking away from all these oaths and everything. It's not just fighting you. And if they do that, they stop witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? They got other oaths of things for other things they want to do. Just like a high-ranking Christian, I'm with God for more than one reason. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things God gonna do for me, and it's a lot of things I depend on Him to do for me. So it's the same thing with them. They depend on, the satanic kingdom to do a lot for them. So why would they ain't gonna turn away that easily. You gotta get into the wiring of what it really is and who these people really are, as opposed to thinking just at face value, oh, I could just get them saved. It's not that simple, because once again, they gotta use their free will. Okay? You can have all the power in the world, but they gotta use their free will. You gotta remember what Jesus, what it said about the Lord. It said Jesus could not do many miracles because of their unbelief. So even at some places, the Lord could not do many miracles in certain places because of people's mentality. So with that being said, you can have the power like the Lord, and if people mentality is not in the right place, it's not going to work. Okay? See what I'm saying? And then you come into reality of what their mentality really is, which is they stuck in darkness, they stuck in stupidity, they stuck in wickedness, in witchcraft. And so we come to terms with that by fighting back and going ahead and going to war with these people until they die. And we're not going to stay stuck on stupid where we hope they get saved, but they still fighting you. They still fighting you while you hoping for other things. And that's not a wise position. You're being attacked while you're hoping for something else, for these people to be saved or whatever. That's a goofy position. It's a goofy position. You have to sober up and realize things are not as you want them to be, and you accept things as they are on their terms. You accept everything on reality terms, as reality is. It doesn't mean you can't change it, but everyone has free will. And your best example is to look at Jesus, how it says he couldn't do many miracles because of their unbelief. Okay? This is what you realize. Okay, so in many cases, people's mentality is going to stop any hope of any salvation for these people. So you're not even thinking about that. You're not thinking about it no more. You're moving forward past that step, right? And you're taking the next step, which is now I am going to attack. I'm not going to sit up and pray for people, and because I'm more knowledgeable than the average Christian, where I know these people take oaths. These people are not going to turn from it. You know what I'm saying? They're not, and keep in mind, it's demons behind all of that. So imagine them just coming out of it. You know what I'm saying? You see that on YouTube. It's here and there. It's a drop in the bucket for all these average everyday witches and warlocks, they not gonna turn from it. So then I'm in wisdom, I am going to attack what is attacking me. That's all. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm not going to play with people. And see, that's why I'm more effective in these times than the average person. Because in my spirituality, I use my free will to go into activate the offensive against these people. There's always two fighting styles, offense and defense. And many Christians here in America are always on the defense. You're always balling up and taking the punches. But then you never get on the offense. And so I'm just pro offense. That's why I'm fasting. That's why I'm going to be working with people down in New Orleans that's in these concentrate witchcraft neighborhoods. I'm pretty sure they're very aware of witchcraft in New Orleans. Any part of New Orleans, they're very aware of it, and they take it more seriously, right, than you would find in other places where people, I've heard Africans say that they don't believe in witchcraft, or they don't believe in it. Okay, so, but down in New Orleans, they really believe in witchcraft. They believe that it's real. They know that it's real. And you're not going to have to convince them that what you're going through is real. You see what I'm saying? It's some people that's not in the community of war against these people. We're in the community of war against them. Okay? See, they have a field day with people that don't believe in it. They have a field day with people that don't fight back. And you're just on the defense. Being on the defense, and never being on the offense is not a good position, because when you're on the offense, you're going to get more done against these people. Okay, you're going to get more done. You're going to get a lot done. And you're going to hurt these people. As opposed to balling up and taking all the punches. And that's all you're doing, is just balling up and taking all the witchcraft and everything like that. When you get the mentality to be more pro offense, where you're doing fastings against these people. And see, you're taught in American Christianity that's malicious intent, or that's evil intentions. That's not evil intentions. That's you using your spiritual weapons to fight back. It's a war. So, I mean, you admit it's a war, right? Okay, so in war, you attack. That's not evil intentions. At some point, you have to fight back. If they want to be clowns and put a whole neighborhood against you, this is why things happen to this community. Like Maduro, the President Maduro right here in Brooklyn. That's not a coincidence. That's because of Brooklyn fighting against the prophet. Now you got a president from President Maduro here in Brooklyn. You think it's a coincidence? It's not. It's making people suffer that you care about, or that you would treasure, or letting you see wrongs that you feel is wrong. Letting you see things happen that's wrong, and seeing human beings that you would care about in bad situations, like you try to put me in a bad situation. So then that bad situation comes right here to Brooklyn. But it's some people that don't pay attention to the wins. That's a win. That's a win for as far as people put me in a certain position. Now that person's in a certain position. And it's a lot of Hispanic and Latinos that have a problem with that. It's a lot of Americans that have a problem with it. But now you're feeling what people tried to make me feel. Or Maduro's feeling what people tried to make me feel. Yeah. See, it's deep. It's deeper than you know. And just when you think you know it all, it's deeper than you thought it was. Because one thing about witchcraft, they don't know our side. They don't know our side of things. They only know what they doing and what they can do. They don't really know what we can do. And now they're this time around, they're seeing what we can do. They're seeing what a man of God can do. Because I can't stress enough, I'm not a church person. I'm just a spiritual person. I don't act like an American Christian. And that's what's going to throw you off. That's what's going to get you. Because you expect me to be one of these people that's going to pray for you and love you and try to talk to you about God. I'm not going to do that. If you oppose me for X amount of time, I'm going to attack you on the offensive. And I'm going to put you to death if I can. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you to death because you've been using consistent witchcraft consistently. And that's all I need to prove to God is that you've been using consistent witchcraft and you're out of here. Remind you, the Bible says, suffer not a witch to live. That's God's mentality, not the Christian. God's mentality is more important than the Christian. We don't care how they feel about it, in other words. When we look in the Bible and we see certain scriptures, we don't care about the mentality of a Christian and how they feel about it. So you got to remember that. Some people here in America have this certain mentality that is not the mentality of God and not lined up with God's word. They want to be nice. They want to be cool. You know what I'm saying? And that's not always the case. You know, so you got to go with God's mentality versus what your Christian peers might feel is acceptable or how they may interpret it. Because a lot of them will overlook scriptures that says witches should be put to death because it doesn't come off as a nice Christian, a nice American Christian. I'm not trying to come off as a nice American Christian. I'm trying to come off as a godly, righteous man that believes in the word of God and get the solutions for his life. If you want to be dragged around by witchcraft, hey, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out, not me. I ain't being dragged around by witchcraft, buddy. God says God has solutions, right? Okay, now if you want to be a nice guy, I'm telling you, it's people like this. That's why you got to watch out for them. They want to be nice guys. They want to be nice. And life is, if a real man knows, life doesn't always consist of being nice. Every man knows this. Every real man knows this. If we could play a position of always being nice, it would be a perfect world, right? We can't always play some position of trying to be nice. Okay? So we don't let people manipulate us, whether they be Christians or other worldly people, to where we feel this pressure to be nice or have a nice mentality or do things that's perceived to be nice. Right? While other people take full advantage of that. While the witchcraft people take full advantage of you walking around trying to be nice. That's all they're going to do. All they're going to do is take advantage of you being nice. I already know. I already been through it. All they're going to do is take advantage of you being a cool, kind person. Okay? So as you grow in your understanding, specifically with witchcraft people, you attack quicker and you don't waste no time. I don't waste no time no more. As soon as I see witchcraft being used against me and I sense it, I'm going to war. It's not. I'm not going to pray about it. I already know what it is. I already have experience with what it is. Okay, so I'm not going to pray about this. It's nothing to pray about. I already know what type of people I'm dealing with. And that's how you have to be. You have to be quicker on the draw. You don't wait 6 months before you realize you need to do something. You don't even wait 3 months, 2 months. I come into a place and I sense witchcraft, I'm going to war. That's it. That's all there is to it. I'm not sitting up wondering about praying about the situation and just praying in the atmosphere. I'm not going to pray in the atmosphere. I'm going to wish death and pray for death on witchcraft people, they family, and those that are with them. Me as a prophet, I attack bloodlines. I attack bloodlines of any enemies. I'm gonna attack your whole bloodline. I'm gonna attack your family, your mom, your dad, your aunts, your kids, all of that. I'm attacking everything. I'm buck wild with this, man. I'm buck wild with it. I'm buck wild with it, buddy. I'm buck wild with it. I'm buck wild with it, buddy. I'm gonna attack your mama, your daddy, your aunts, your family, and everything. If you working witchcraft against me, I'm cursing your whole bloodline. That means even family in other countries. In Africa, your family in Africa, your family in South America or the islands or wherever you come from, I'm attacking family that you don't even know you have. I'm gonna attack your whole bloodline. That's what a prophet does. That's what I do. I attack the whole bloodline. So if you're one of them people that think, well, I'm halfway suicidal, I don't care what happens to me, I'll just attack this person until I die. Well, I'm gonna make your family pay for it. Literally. That's how you do it. You do not sit up and go, and listen to this from experience. You do not, especially in America, you do not get up and go toe to toe with witchcraft people that usually are bums. They're not rich. They're on EBT. They can fight you forever because they're on EBT. They're on cash assistance. They ain't got to work. They get cash. They get food stamps, and they can sit up and fight you forever. They're stable. Even though they're not working, they stable. They sit up and they can use witchcraft all day against you. That's what you're dealing with. A whole bunch of people that stabilized using witchcraft, they're stabilized on EBT. So they can sit up and use witchcraft against you all day long. So what you gonna do? People that stabilized by EBT and they can use witchcraft on you all day. It ain't gonna be a matter of, okay, you gonna knock them off their square from cursing their job. Cursing their job or their vocation that they got. Cause so they gonna be stable with EBT. So then you gotta my thing is cursing their health. Curse their mental health, curse their physical health. Things come up in their body that they never had happen before. Sicknesses that never happened come into their body. Unknown sicknesses, rare sicknesses, all that kind of stuff. That's what we want to happen. Anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, everything like that. Palpitations, heart beating fast, everything. We want all that because they stabilized by the government on EBT. So we have to attack their health and we have to attack their families because this person is just in position. They don't care if they live or die. They're stabilized by EBT and they don't care if they live or die. In most cases, a witch, usually if they fighting you one-on-one, they don't care if they die. Okay, so then it's not good enough to attack them. This person is already suicidal, most likely. You attack the bloodlines. You have access to their bloodlines. See, this is the high-ranking people, man. It might sound like it's dark to you or witchcraft to you, but it's not. It's spirituality and the legalities of spirituality. You have legalities and spirituality. As soon as they start playing with you, this is the offensive on God's side. You have access to the witchcraft bloodlines that's being used against you. You got access to their whole family. It's just you gotta have your mentality in the right place with your spirituality. Why your spirituality is not working is because your mentality is not in the right place. That's what's gonna guide your spirituality. If your mentality is we just gonna pray, we gonna think good things about these people, and your spirituality is not gonna destroy them. Did you hear what I said? Your spirituality is not gonna destroy somebody if you thinking about praying for them and helping them. See, that type of docile person becomes livestock. You become cattle to be slaughtered by darkness, whether it's the government, the streets, witchcraft. You just setting yourself up for the mark. When it's wartime, and you have to begin to change your mentality in a whole different position to where now my mind is not trying to help these people so that my spirituality can destroy them. So now my faith and my spirituality, the anointing that's on my life, is going to destroy them. It's not going to help them. It's not going to benefit them. They're like little lost orphans that think they can just play with you, and then you're supposed to give them a bowl of porridge. You're supposed to give them a bowl of oatmeal after they play with you. No, you don't. Okay, that's what they used to in this country. There's a whole bunch of people used to handouts and emotional handouts, mercy handouts, compassion handouts. Not one type of handout. Think about it. Don't be simple-minded. Learn higher psychology. People are used to handouts in this country. They're used to you giving them an emotional handout, a compassion handout, this mercy handout. That's what they're anticipating, because they're all enabled by the Americans in every form of fashion. And you, as a stern, grown man or woman, have to let people know, listen, I'm not handing out no mercy. I'm not, just like you looking for that EBT, you looking for that mercy EBT too, and you ain't gonna get it. You gonna check your card and nothing gonna be on there. You ain't getting no mercy EBT. You gonna keep checking that card and ain't nothing gonna be on there, buddy. And see, that's how you have to deal with people as grown men and women. Because half of them that work witchcraft act like children. Okay, that's what I noticed. You know, I've never really seen a mature witchcraft person. I've never seen it. Me personally. I've never seen it. They act cartoonish. They act like clowns. That's the signature part of witchcraft people is they act like clowns, cartoons. They're not serious and mature like me and you. So then when it comes time for war, they ain't gonna be mature either. And they ain't gonna have the full follow through. See, they ain't got the mentality to go all the way to war with you and follow all the way through. When the rubber meets the road, they gonna fold. They gonna fold and ask for mercy. And see that's why they should have never started it in the first place. You wasn't built like this. Everybody isn't built with this certain mentality with their spirituality. It's not guaranteed that a person that uses witchcraft has this mentality to be strong enough to take what comes with it. You know, and everybody ain't built like that. You know, so when the war comes, and it surely will, right? They mentality gonna fold, right? And they gonna have to manipulate to the people. That's all witchcraft people gonna do. When they spirituality don't work, they gonna have to go out there and use their mouth as a form of witchcraft. out there talking to the community, out there trying to say something and trying to find any little dirt on you because their spirituality ain't working. Anytime you see witches using their mouth more than their spirituality, it's because it's not effective. That's why they got to keep talking and yapping. That's why they got to keep saying stuff under their breath against you, because their spirituality ain't working. If their spirituality was effective, they wouldn't have to say nothing to you. Think about it. If they beating you down spiritually, why are they going to say something? Out of desperation, that's why they speak. When you hear witches speaking, slandering you under their breath, it's because they desperate. That's how you know they desperate. And the condition of the battlefield is they desperate. See, me, I work spirituality. I lay back here in this room, and personally, as far as speaking out there, I don't speak out there until people try to speak in here. I don't say nothing out there until people try to say something in here. I don't do nothing out there until people try to do something in here. You know, because I'm winning. I got results. I don't need to say nothing to them. What sense would it make? It don't make no sense. I don't need to say nothing to them. I'm winning. But when they're not winning, they're going to be trying to make their mouth work as a form of witchcraft when they can't win with spirituality. You see what I'm saying? They're going to use their tongue as a form of witchcraft when they weak, when they can't win. They're going to go out there and talk to the people. They're going to go out there and try to manipulate people and talk as much as they got big mouths. Witchcraft people got big mouths. They're going to be out there talking to people, trying to talk and manipulate the people because their witchcraft ain't working. So all they're going to try to do ultimately is try to manipulate the community against you, hoping that the community hurts you. That's all they've been trying to do this whole time. They've been trying to send somebody to hurt us or somebody to fight us, and nobody wants to do it. Now, the condition of the battlefield for these witches in America is that people want them dead. People want them dead for continuing to use witchcraft against the community's wishes. See, the American community wanted it to stop long time ago. They wanted this to stop long time ago. These people kept going. See, I know everything they don't think I know. These people kept going, and the American community wanted them to stop long time ago. That's why they want them dead, because they kept going against their wishes, against the collective community's wishes, and it caused detriment to the community, right? Okay, so that's why they want them dead, because they kept going, and and now people felt they was right, that you should have stopped, and you didn't stop, and you messed up the community, and because of that, because you didn't listen to us, we want you dead. That's the good news. Now the community is kind of working for us, low key, because they went too far, and it was trying to prove a point that they can't prove. You're not gonna prove no point to no prophet. You ain't gonna prove nothing to me about no witchcraft and about nothing. I mean, you ain't gonna prove no points. I'm the equivalent of a preacher, and they don't understand that because I'm young and black. Maybe you like your preachers white. No disrespect, but maybe you like your preachers white or Hispanic or Latino. Maybe that's your idea of a preacher. And maybe you can't see me as a preacher, but your life depends on you seeing me as a preacher. Because if you don't see me this way, if you can't see me this way, or you see me as whatever else, you think about my sexuality and all of that. Look at all the violations. Look at all the violations. It's over. It's gonna be over for you. It's gonna be over for you. If you can't see me as a preacher, that's how you need to see me. As a preacher. Not your homie, not some musician, not Michael Jackson. No, not a comedian, none of that. I got a good, great personality. But you need to see me as a preacher, buddy. And if you don't see me as a preacher, You're gonna be dead. I'm telling you, this community is gonna be dead, and that's all there is to it. It's just what it is. Okay, that's just what it is, man. If they don't see me as a preacher, they're gonna be dead, bro. That's all it is to it. It's all gaslighting. Like, you heard that? Like, that's nothing. It don't mean nothing to me. Because when the smoke clears, the reality is still the same. Okay? They ain't beat me at all. Your whole little witchcraft community, if they don't see me as a preacher, and you a goofy person, like you are right now, thinking some other stuff besides what I'm saying, if you don't see me as a preacher, as a man of God, you're going to be dead. Your community going to be dead. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, I'm not your homie. I'm not a musician. I'm not your comrade. I'm not some street person. I got street principles. I understand the streets. I supposed to, but if you don't see me the right way and see me as the man of God that I am, you're gonna be in trouble, buddy. That's as simple as that. To you, I am a preacher. That's what you play with. That's what you play with. Now, a corny person, you got in your mind something else. I'm a preacher. And that's why your country is suffering. That's why your American community is suffering. That's why it's not going to get no better. Because you Mickey Mouse in your mind. You got the brain of Mickey Mouse. That's how I see it. Well, I don't know how you see me. I wouldn't waste my time talking about Christianity if I wasn't a man of God. I'll be doing something else. I'll be out there smoking. I'm not scared of the streets. So I proved that. So I'm not scared. So I'm not being a Christian because I'm scared, okay? It's not that. So if I wasn't really dedicated to God, then I would be out there in the streets. As simple as that. So it's real. My dedication is real. And if you don't see me as a preacher, you're in trouble, man. That's just what it is. If you're a clown and you stuck on something else, and I'm putting thousands of dollars down in South America, I'm putting money in Jamaica, I done put money in Jamaica, South America, all these different places, and you don't realize I'm a preacher, and you're a clown, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to be devoured. You're going to be devoured, buddy. The only way you're supposed to see me is a preacher. That's the best way to tell somebody from America. And that's how I am, because this is going to help you see my rank. Because you might not get it with just me saying these things, these other things about spirituality. So you need to understand my rank as a preacher. That's it. That's the best way to tell you. See, I learned as a teacher to say certain words to produce certain understanding. Even though I'm a prophet, which is higher ranking than a preacher, than the average preacher, that's the problem. That's the detriment for you. Okay? I'm worse than a preacher. And now you see that because you see your community. You thought this was a magic show. This ain't a magic show. This ain't no David Copperfield show. I'm not David Copperfield. This stuff is happening to your community because I'm a preacher. I'm worse than a preacher as far as in spiritual warfare. So it's just like goofy gay people and lesbians and everything else, these witchcraft people, playing with a preacher. And you want me to fit this other narrative of whatever you heard. And all you're doing is playing yourself because I'm never going to fit that narrative. Whatever it is, whatever the narrative is, all you need to think about is I'm a preacher. And that's how you need to see it. And common sense going to tell you, you playing with a preacher, you good, you gone, you out of here. You ain't going to survive playing with no preacher. No, you're not. A witch ain't gonna survive playing with no preacher. No, you're not. Maybe these people, other people out here, but playing with a preacher, you ain't gonna survive. That's why all this is happening. That's what I'm trying to show you. So you could be arrogant and die, or you could humble yourself and realize you gonna die playing with me. That's it. You could act like it ain't true. You could act like it's not true. You could feel gaslight and all that foolishness. Listen. You still gonna come back down to terms to, you play with me, you gonna die. Okay? That's where my spirituality is at. That's where my spirituality is at today. That's where my head is at. See, unlike these other Christians, they don't have the head where these people die. I don't pray for these people. I dismiss them. Just like the Bible does. The Bible dismissed these people. Suffer not a witch to live. That's dismissed. Exodus 22:18. That's dismissed. Suffer not a witch to live. That's dismissed. That ain't trying to love them. That ain't trying to. God didn't say that. God didn't say try to love them. Try to love a witchcraft person and get them saved. Try to help them. It didn't say that. It says suffer not a witch to live. It didn't even say, well, try to see if they'll be converted. That's American. That's what an American gonna do. You gonna try to get them converted. I'm not. Once they using consistent witchcraft, specifically, and they know what they're doing, right? That's all we need. That's all we need. I don't, like I said, I don't give out handouts of mercy. I don't give out handouts of compassion like your mother or your father. There's a lot of Americans, I'm talking about millions, that expect the world to give them love that they mama gave them. You looking at me like I'm your mother. Like I'm supposed to love you with the same love of your mother. No, now they might not say that, but they behave as that. You understand the difference between somebody not saying something, but they behave as that, right? So they behave as you spoke with their actions and their words, if you pay attention, and how they carry themselves after they've done all they've done. They carry themselves like we supposed to love them with unconditional love, like I'm their mother. Or I'm supposed to love you like I'm your father. I'm not your mother or your father. You out here in the real world, man, where there is no love. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm acting exactly how I'm supposed to act. You don't even supposed to be this close to me. Think about it. I'm not your mother. I'm not your brother that you're fighting with. I'm not your, well, even one of your homies that you are, somebody in the streets. I'm worse than that. I'm a preacher. I'm not going to play with you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to play with you. I've been esteemed as a preacher. I'm not going to play with you. So that's the difference. These other Christians, their mind hasn't taken that step of elevation because they haven't really been in spiritual warfare. See, when you've been in spiritual warfare and you see a greater conspiracy against you, right, where there's masses of people against you, your mind is going to tell you, you have to get on the offense and fight. Ain't no way you're going to love all these people to serving God and turning away from fighting you. It's not going to happen. Right? So it's depending on what size of war that you've been through for you to get the highest mentality that's in the Bible that fights against the wicked, like the prophet Elijah, David, Samson, where these men of God fought against human beings. Because that's the highest level of opposition, is when these masses fight against you. It's going to produce the highest elevation of war, where you have to fight against collective human beings. And some Christians ain't going to go through that in their lifetime. So you got to realize, some Christians ain't going to go through this. So how are they going to be able to counsel you about this? How are they going to be able to advise you? Okay, let's say they believe it's true, right? Let's just, because half of them don't believe it's true. But let's say if they do believe it's true. What an American Christian gonna tell you that hasn't been through this? They gonna tell you, oh, we'll pray about it. We just gonna pray for their salvation. That's gonna come next. If it's people around you, concentrate around you, they gonna tell you, we gonna pray for these people. We gonna pray for their salvation. No, listen, buddy. That's people that's not experienced in spiritual warfare. That's people that's not experienced in spiritual warfare. If witches think that you Charlie Brown, that they can pick on you, and they think you Charlie Brown or some little cartoon, whatever is in it, it's always goofy. It's always a goofy mentality with witchcraft. Remember that. Because you could really hurt these people physically or spiritually. So it's always a goofy mentality. It ain't gonna never be totally serious. That's why you gotta understand it. It ain't gonna never be totally serious, because they gotta do goofy stuff to play around your mind too. It's always goofy, right? You can't expect a Christian, a nice Christian, to know what to do with goofy people. They goofy, right? What a nice person gonna do? What a nice Christian gonna do? They gonna tell you, oh, we can get them saved. Really? And these people done took oaths to devils. You're not looking to do that. You're not looking to do that. You're getting on the offense against the people that think it's a fun game to try to use their witchcraft against you. That's what they're doing. If you high ranking, they think this is their time to show what they can do with their witchcraft. Because they ain't got nobody to use it against, right? Or at least you're more of an ideal enemy, being that you're a Christian and you got spirituality. They want to, the main thing they want to see is who got the most power, right? You already proved it. I already proved it. I already proved I got the most power. Okay, so what we do is we go all the way to war without failure. We don't hold back. Don't stop holding back. Twist your mind around. Twist your mind around to destroying these people with your spiritual power. And that's how it's gonna work. Because it's people, man, in this country, I'm telling you, even witchcraft people that's dependent on you when you start winning, to be compassionate when you start winning. When you winning now before you was winning, they wanted all the smoke. But once you start winning, now, you see what I'm saying? They don't have the mentality to go all the way. They don't have the mentality to go all the way like they projected themselves they was doing. I'm giving them what they wanted. They wanted smoke, they getting it. The whole community getting it. I'm giving them the smoke that they want. They can't see it. That's how we know they're not spiritual, because I'm giving you the smoke you want. And see, if you don't change your mentality, you're not gonna realize that God is defeating these people. Hold up, did you hear what I said? If you don't switch around your mind and do a 180 in your mind, you're not gonna realize that these people are being defeated because back to the nice Christian, you think they gonna get saved. You think America gonna get saved instead of looking at this destruction as God's answer to all that they've been doing. All the stuff that you see that's happening to America, this is God's answer. Okay? But if you don't turn your mind around like I'm telling you, you ain't gonna think that God is doing anything. You're gonna lose. You're in danger of losing your faith because you haven't turned your mind around. Because you're just hanging on to these people. That's what got you. Let them go. Let America go. Let black folks go. Collectively speaking. And stick with good black people that's Christians and righteous. That's how you play your hand. You play your hand by sticking with the righteous black people. Okay, that's how you play your hand. And you go from there. But that's your foundation. Your foundation is you don't let them take black people from you. Right? You still deal with good, righteous black people. You deal with righteous black people. That's what you do. Don't worry about these other people. Those people are basically the evil of the community in the last days. They was never in competition with me. That's the white culture mentality. That's a white culture mentality that you in war with me. You can't be serious, man. You can't be serious. Look at your country. You think you in war with me. Listen, you can't be serious, little buddy. You're a drop in the bucket. And that's how you tell an individual which you yourself is a drop in the bucket. Look at what we doing to your community. Look what God's kingdom is doing to your community. Look at it. You already know. You already are aware. Okay, so don't insult my intelligence by thinking you're fighting me or doing something to me. I know what I'm doing to you. Do you know what I'm doing to you? See, as long as your mind is twisted around where you trying to help somebody and you got this love mentality, we in the final war. So if you're not in the final war, your head ain't flipped around in the final war, and you're just like this lovey Christian like from 2004, you're not going to realize that the real final war has already begun. So now you flip around your mind to being like David. I can show you that it's in the Bible. I can show you that it's in the Bible. I'm a preacher. I can show you that it's in the Bible. But if your mind ain't flipped around, you ain't gonna see David the way he really was. You still gonna be flipped around like you can't see David as a warrior that killed people. When the time came and the occasion came for it. You ain't gonna see Samson as somebody that killed people. You ain't gonna see Jeremiah that killed the prophets of Baal, right? Or Elijah. You ain't gonna see Elijah the proper way. You gotta remember, God's servant killed the prophets of Baal. He killed them. He killed them. So in the spiritual world, you realize that times change and there's different levels of warfare in spiritual warfare, where at times it can intensify like it is in the last days to where you have to kill flesh and blood. That this warfare can intensify to the point where you, as a servant of God, will have to put to death human beings. I can show you that in the Bible, where warfare intensified to where people had to be put to death. I'll say that again. The warfare can intensify to where you have to put human beings to death. And I can prove that with the Bible. You can't prove with the Bible that what I'm saying is not true. You can't prove with the Bible that through all warfare you won't ever have to fight human beings. You can't prove that. I can prove with the Bible that at some point, if enemies are consistent, they have to be put to death. That's why this is the hardest thing for the American church. That's why I stay really out of the American church for the most part. Because the Americans are bent on, they put evangelism before almost common sense. I mean, if you got enemies that are consistent, I'm not thinking about evangelizing. And I can show you in the Bible where when God's people went to war with consistent enemies, evangelizing was not thought about. That was not thought about. I can show you everything I'm talking about in the Bible. This is why American Christians become destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Everybody talks about that scripture. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But you don't know how far the rabbit hole goes. You know how far it goes? Where people will basically become martyrs because you don't fight back. You'll become dead in your grave because you think you're supposed to love and evangelize everybody. You'll be dead from a lack of knowledge that show you David, that show you Samson, and other men that fought human beings. The Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? Right. But then in the Old Testament, you see we did fight against human beings. So obviously, it's that scripture is the interpretation of that scripture that you get from the American church is not the right interpretation. How we know? Because David fought against flesh and blood. Samson fought against flesh and blood. The children of Israel fought against flesh and blood. Where flesh and blood was in the way and they died. When they're in the way, they are going to die. That's common sense. God ain't gonna look at you loving them and trying to love them and trying to help them. That dynamic is pulled to the side. Now, because they're consistent, see, you gotta have a no bull crap approach. No nonsense. This is the only way you even get to this level is no nonsense. When someone is consistent in war against you, you pull all evangelizing aside and all this love and compassion beside. The most important, the most serious thing on the table is people are playing with you and targeting you, right? Right. It's your life that's being targeted, right? That's all you're looking at that point. And you're going to use your spiritual weapons to put these people in the graveyard. I've already caught bodies. See, what these witchcraft people don't know, people already died for playing with me. I'm going to put it like this. People have already died for the level of spirituality that I wield. I say that humbly. In the grave. And that's because I learned to change around my mentality from this loving, docile puppy to a real man of God and a warrior that's not playing any games. Literally, they're not. This power is there for all of us that we could put these people to death. But if your mind is in the opposite direction, how is it gonna happen? How is it gonna happen? We see through with Jesus not being able to do many miracles in his own hometown because of their disbelief, right? That shows us that a mentality in play can change the spirituality that happens. It could be yours or it could be theirs. But the most important dynamic is understanding a mentality can change the spirituality. And Jesus can be right there. But because your mind ain't changed around, you can't get the miracle. Because you can't see these Americans as your enemies, you can't get the miracles. Because your mind is not, your mind has unbelief. You basically doubt that you could be like this as a Christian. That's the unbelief. You doubt that you can walk in as a man of God and these people die, and see, someone in your mind tells you that's not right. So you got to soul search within yourself and elevate for why you would think that people could do you wrong and nothing happens to them. You got to soul search within yourself why you feel this way. It could be your psychology for how you grew up. It might not even be Christianity. It might be how you grew up or something that make you feel that people can play with you. Maybe because you're used to being bullied and you're used to being a victim. And you're used to submitting into this victim position because you've done it so many times in your life. As from a child, in your marriage, in high school, at your job, you let managers run all over you, and you let everybody do it. So this is just another group of people doing the same thing that you used to. That's why you got to understand higher psychology for why you are allowing this to happen. Because it don't make common sense. Common sense is you need to be defended, right? If you look at the jungle, at the animal kingdom, it's common sense that an animal has to fight, right? It doesn't sit there. It either fights or die, right? Right. That's the land of the wild. That's the rule of the wild. You fight back. That's it. That's common sense for an animal. You ain't thinking something else supposed to happen, are you? You waiting for the animal to defend itself. That's what you waiting for. So why you being more sophisticated than animals, why would you be thinking something else is going to happen? If they playing with you, it's time to die. And that's it. It's nothing else to talk about. It's nothing else to walk through and talk through. That's only when people are goofy, and you're going to find witchcraft people, they measure in being goofy, clowns. Just out here, you just heard one of them out here, talking out here out here like that's supposed to do something to me. I'm a prophet of God. That's not going to do nothing to me, buddy. You tripping. You must be smoking crack. That ain't going to do nothing to me. It ain't do nothing to me. I got my faith in the right area, and I know that you're supposed to die in this situation. And ain't nothing else supposed to happen. We ain't supposed to love on you, all of that. That's American culture. That's what I'm saying. Now you see why I have to preach. I could talk about a million messages to make you happy. I could talk about stuff that would make you think I'm such a grand, great Christian. But I'm preaching in season, right? I'm not saying everything I say is right. As far as my human nature, right? In the times in the past, every single word. But I have to preach in season when I'm in the spirit. I'm still not going to give I'm not going to give you these happy cookie cutter messages to make you feel happy. And as a Christian, some stuff going to make you feel good. I'm going to talk to you about exactly what's going on in the world right now in America. That's what I'm going to talk to you about. That's why I'm talking about this. This is why I got to take the time to talk about the offering, because everybody got fasting down pat, but nobody ain't talking about the offering and increasing the offering. Stop giving $20 and $30, and if you can give more, you give at different amounts, but at some point you should be giving hundreds of dollars. And nobody on YouTube or Christians really want to say it because they're scared. They're afraid of people thinking they're greedy after money or they're a con artist. So the offering stays low because the men and women of God don't want to talk on the higher levels of giving a higher offering. So the harvest remains low. The harvest remains low. Okay? It becomes low because your seed is low. And the reason why your seed is low is because the preacher does not encourage you to give over $100 or $200, $300, $400. Now, like I said, at different times you give different amounts, but he or she should be trying to tell you that in preaching so many words that in order to really get the maximized harvest, you have to start giving thousands of dollars. And that's the truth. You ain't gonna get it just giving the $200 here and there. And they're afraid to tell you that thousands of dollars is really what get it done, because they're afraid of looking like a con artist begging for money. But it's for you, not for them. It's for you and not for them. But some preachers never out of fear, fear manifests in different ways. And out of fear, some preachers never tell you what you really need to do. And here's the worst part. They're doing it. They're actually giving thousands of dollars to other ministries. Oh, you thought the preacher was only giving to his own ministry? A real preacher is given to all kind of ministries for the harvest, not just for supporting another ministry, for his or her own personal harvest. And guess what? That's thousands. They're giving thousands of dollars. But guess what? They go preach to you about hundreds of dollars. It's not because they don't want you, they don't want you to have a lot. It's because out of fear that people gonna think they're a con artist, or think they trying to take your money or something. That's what they think of. That's what they think. That's what's gonna put them in fear. That's what they're thinking about. They're conscious of that. And that's why, I have to take time to keep talking about the offering, because nobody else is doing it. So my point is, I can talk about all these other good messages and great messages and everything, but I'm going to talk about what I see is the problem. And the problem is people are running from giving the offering and because you're afraid that people think you're crazy. I mean, that too. See, but back to faith. Faith might to the man that always uses human logic, he might think you crazy. And see, that's where the rubber meets the road. Okay, I can fast. Okay, that's a good spiritual practice. But you willing to give your money? Now, see, that's the real test. That's the final test. Are you willing to give this money up? You willing to give this money to God? You willing to wear the same clothes in order to give an offering? When you could have been had clothes. You could have been had new shoes. You could have been had new everything. I could have been had new shoes, new clothes, new shirts, everything. But I'm not a teenager. I'm a man. I put on my clothes like a uniform and I get to work. And that's the difference. Now, if I was a boy, I'd be out here buying fitteds and hats every time my money hit. You know what I'm saying? I'll be out here buying all these different socks, colorful socks, and all different kind of stuff, man. And, at some point, man, you have to grow up and prioritize things first and start going to another level and say, man, I could put off having a couple clothes. I can wear my clothes like a uniform, these same pants. I can wear these same pants like a uniform and until I get where I need to go. Because I'm more interested in this harvest than some new clothes. That's what I'm saying. And you got to remember, in this American community, there's a spirit of sabotage that people already got in their own life. They already got a level of sabotage and failure. in their own life, and all they doing is trying to bleed that off to your life. That's why you got to separate from all these people. And you're not being bougie. No, you're not bougie. I'm separating from failure and sabotage. That's what I'm separating from. You separate from failure and sabotage, and you stay by yourself. No matter what it feels like, no matter how bad or uncomfortable it feels, until God sends you people in your life, you stay in a position of aloneness with God. Not lonely. You could be alone, but not lonely. I'm alone, but not lonely. Because God feels the void of somebody being there. He feels it. And only spiritual people know. I don't feel alone, lonely. I don't feel that way. Because God he feels that void. He knows I'm by myself, and he feels that void. So I don't feel lonely. I don't feel lonely at all. I don't go through depression. I don't go through any of that. That's what my enemies don't know. All them other things that people go through, how I'm gonna go through it, and I'm with God. I'm serving God. How I'm gonna go through that? I'm fasting. How I'm gonna go through it? I'm not gonna go through any of that. That's gonna be the first thing to go. And then manifestations come into my life as I need it. That's gonna be the first thing to go. All that little stuff like lonely feelings and everything like that, and people wishing depression on you and discouragement on you. All that's gonna be the first thing to go out of my atmosphere every day. This witchcraft must be focused on. That's another subject. The witchcraft must be focused. We must focus on it and destroy it. Okay? It's just what it is. Psychics and mind readers, the same thing. That's not God's people. They are so deceived that they think they're on our side. It's no way you can use divination and mind reading and psychic energy and serve God, because God is not allowing you to do that. So you've made up your own religion, just like many men have done before, where you put God as a center, but you're doing all kind of other crazy stuff. Yeah, rewind that back. Rewind that back, buddy. You doing all kind of crazy stuff, and you just use God as a center. And that's the deception for many people. Why you get deceived is these churches use God as a center, and you don't look at all the other crazy stuff they're doing. The mind reading, telepathy, that's all the crazy stuff they're doing. But they're going to use Jesus as a center. There's Jesus religions. There's a million Jesus religions. And they just use Jesus as their center of their religion. And that's why you have to have the word of God and what it says concerning everything. Because you have homosexual churches, people gay in homosexual church, but they use Jesus as their center. You see what I'm saying? That's a religion. And they're going to use Jesus as their center while they're doing all these other crazy things. So anytime somebody uses Jesus as a center, which is common sense because Jesus is the most famous figure in our community, right? Of course people going to use Jesus as a center. But watch all the other crazy things they doing. That's what I'm saying. Watch all the other crazy stuff they doing. So when you have somebody that's deceived, right? They gonna have Jesus and God as a center, and even the Holy Ghost as a center. But they doing all this other crazy stuff. That's why to know who's of God, look at the other crazy stuff they're doing, and that's how you know they ain't of God. No, that's how you know. You see somebody abstaining from the culture, they not masturbating, they not smoking, they not excessively drinking, and they living a righteous life. That's God's people. These people that center Jesus as their center point of their religion, but they doing all this other crazy stuff, that's not God's people. That's how you know. It's paying attention to all the other crazy stuff. And so if people using mind reading and they think they on our side and psychological stuff, buddy, listen, you just use Jesus as a center. You came over and read our minds and thinking you using Jesus as a center and you reading minds makes you part of us. You see that part? You see how distorted and crazy and confused that is? They use Jesus Christ as a center. They mind read as psychics. They come over here and listen to us and act like they agree with us, like we part of their church. And you're in danger of hellfire. My point of view is that people who are these psychics and telepaths, these people think that mind reading is a god almost, or they think they are God from mind reading. You're not a god because you can mind read, bro. You're not a god because you have psychic power. And you're going to find out the hard way that you're subject to God himself, no matter if you can read minds or not. See, God's true people, we can hear what we need to hear. We can hear the thoughts that we need to hear for our protection. But we don't go and rape the minds of people. We don't go and try to sit out and focus on any person. Imagine a preacher doing that. Imagine a preacher doing it. This is how you're going to know it's not right. Can you imagine a preacher going and reading the minds of other people? That don't sound right, do it? Think about a preacher going around and snooping around reading people's minds. What kind of preacher is that? That's what you're going to think. That's how you know God's true people don't read no minds and don't go around reading people's minds. Because you can't imagine a preacher doing that and it would make sense to you and be good to you. A preacher ain't gonna go around reading people's minds in the room or around the building or something. Think about that. It's not in the nature of a Christian. In other words, it's not in the nature of a preacher. Because we're not concerned about men that deeply. That's first number one. We're not concerned about no human beings. We're thinking about God. We're focused on God. Why would I care about this person enough to do that? Why would they mean enough to me for me to do that? To go that far where I can't see their actions and go from there and determine things about them based on their actions or get to know them based on a physical interaction. Why would I need to go further than that? They're not that important. They're not that important. So I don't feel no need. I wouldn't need to do that. That's why I wouldn't feel no need, because I don't feel anybody's that important. Not in my life. So I'm just connected to God. See, a person that doesn't have a relationship with God, but they got these evil gifts of spirituality, that's all you focused on. That's all you focused on. Us, God's people, we focused on God, not spirituality. They focused on spirituality. We focused on God. That's the difference. We ain't focused on no spirituality. I don't wake up focused on spirituality. That's a lost world. I love focusing on God. I love focusing on God, not spirituality. If you focus on spirituality and you move that way and you live that way, you are in danger of hellfire. And I guarantee you ain't gonna like it, buddy. Once you get there, you can say you don't care, and some people are so arrogant saying we know we going to hell. You don't even know what you're talking regarding. If you knew you was going and you knew what it was, you would be saved instantly. The fact that you don't know what it is what's got you talking arrogant. If you knew what it was and how it felt and what it would be, you would be saved instantly right now. It's your ignorance that even tell you, that it will even make you think comfortably that they know they going to hell. That's how comfortable they think they are with it. But you're not comfortable with the reality, are you? No, you don't know the reality. So you're only talking about hell in terms of something that's conjured up in your mind, some weak idea of hell in your mind. You don't have the real concept of hell and what it is in your mind. If you did, how we know you don't? If you did, you will be instantly saved from all that you know is in hell. You will be saved right now. So you're talking about an idea of hell that's in your mind. When you arrogantly say, I know we going to hell, okay, but that's the idea that you got in your mind. Because if you knew where you was going, listen, but you wouldn't be talking like that. You would be saved right now. You're talking about something you don't have an idea of or reality of. You don't have the reality of hell. You have no idea. And that's where you're going to most likely go. See? That's the punchline. You're most likely going to hell. See that? So we got to go through a little something, but we going to heaven. That's just how it is. Something worth having is worth going through a little something. You're going to heaven. These people, let them do what as they may, because guess what, buddy? I'm not saying give them permission, but you know they going to hell. Most of them going to hell. They have no concept of the real hell that they're going to. Oh yeah. They can even hear all this stuff that these other people talking about going to hell. Or them testimonies. I don't even know if some of them are true. I don't even know if it's true. But what we know is hell is real, right? But I don't know if I believe these testimonies of hell. I think people might do that for fame and, to be known or whatever. Or, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in that. But I know hell is real. And I know that nobody can capture the full capacity of hell with words and visions and whatever else. They can't see it all. They can't express it all. They can't articulate it all. They can give you bits and pieces. If they do have visions of hell, they can give you bits and pieces, but they can't tell you all the full capacity of what hell is. They're going to leave it out. They're going to leave something out. It's people down there right now. All ages too. Young people, old people, everything. Some of these senior citizens going to hell. Some of these old women going to hell. Some of these old men going to hell too. You don't get a pass to go to heaven because you old. And that's how some Americans think. Like some of these old people, man, they done a lot of dirt. And listen, buddy, just because you get old don't mean you ain't going. You get a pass to go to heaven. God knows all the stuff you did when you was young. And if you did not repent, you're going to hell. Okay? And you could be old, you could be nice and sweet, and you're going to burn in hell. Like a cookie. You're going to be a cookie in hell. Nice and sweet, and in hell, you're a cookie. You're going to be an old cookie in hell. Burning for eternity. Eternity. That's why, these Americans look at it, being a Christian as an option. An option, and you're going to burn in hell. It's no other way. It's no other way. So, like I said, we going to focus our mind with using our spirituality against these witchcraft people. That's where we at. We ain't praying for them no more. That time and season is over. Okay? We're not nice, docile, fern deer that get cooked and put on a platter. That's all you will be. Remember, God's word said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You get destroyed because you don't fight back. It's not that even somebody like me that fight, they think I'm the one that's stupid. But I'm winning. because I had enough faith to win. God can do anything. So you can have enough faith to win in any situation. That's 7 out. Okay, God can do anything, so you can beat any situation. So you're never stupid for facing any enemies or adversaries, because God has enough power to destroy them all. What makes you stupid is when you don't think that you gotta fight somebody. That you just think you gotta just love everybody and it all work out and all of this stuff. That's how you know I ain't naive. That's how you know I ain't green. A green person ain't gonna talk like that. A green, naive person is not gonna talk like that. They gonna think, oh, well, maybe that ain't what it is. Maybe they not doing that. Listen, bro, you done seen so many patterns of these people using witchcraft. How could you think, with all the stuff that you've seen, that this country, America, is for you? It's against you. And it's a lot of them against you. It's a network that's against you. It's a whole network. That's how you need to look at it. A psychic network, a telepath network, a witchcraft network, community. And they're using whole communities. And how did it get that way? Because they had decades and decades to build this network. And they didn't just start it yesterday. That's why nobody presently can take credit for it. All they doing is playing a position in a white man's fraternity, which is the Freemasons. They had decades and decades to build this fraternity. So it's not really wielding of one's own power. It's all it is decades and decades of building something. Anybody can make something look good if I got 30, 55 years to do it. But that's basically the work of Freemasonry is outside of one generation. In other words, it's what you see, all these people networking together, is outside of one generation, outside of one's own lifetime, or one person's lifetime, or the length of a lifetime. That's why it looks like unbelievable, because it's the work is from more than one generation in lifetime. That's all it is. So if you had more than one generation to build this network and for these people to network in general, and they could build all these different systems and all this different stuff. If you had generations and generations beyond one lifetime to do it, you can make anything look unbelievable. You can make anything look overwhelming. So that's how I measure it as it needs to be measured. All this stuff, these secret societies go beyond one lifetime. That's all it is. That's common sense. It goes beyond one generation, in other words. That it's been generations of Freemasons. Not just my generation. It's been baby boomers, the silent generation, and the great generation. Those are real generations in America. The great generation, the silent generation, and the baby boomer generation. All 3 generations in Freemasonry. That's 3 generations before my generation. That's 3 lifetimes. Do you see what I'm saying? So of course they're gonna make it look grand and all of this and all of that. That's all it is. It's more than 3 lifetimes of work, basically. 4 and 5 and 6 generations of it. Okay, so it should, to you, that's how you wrap your mind around how they're able to do all of this stuff. Now you get it. That's why this whole country, it's saturated in Freemasonry, and the system has to fall in order for us to defeat these people, because they've had lifetimes, literally more than one, where groups of people use their whole lifetime to further the cause of this Freemasonry. Another generation came and did the same thing, and now that's what you're facing. All these lifetimes used for Freemasonry and witchcraft and telepathy and psychic power. They've had generations to understand this, to get experience in this, and to network concerning this. That's all it is. So If you're the type of person, well, gee, I wonder how this is happening. How is it so happy? I'm not saying you're dinky, right? I'm not saying you're dinky. But you just don't understand that they've had lifetimes literally to make what you see, right? So it's not that they did it in one lifetime. If they did all of this in one lifetime, that's how you're thinking. Then it would be, then I can understand why you're mind boggled. You're mind boggled because what you see, you think has been done in one lifetime. It hasn't been done in one lifetime. That's what I'm saying. That's why they're able to make calls and do all. They've been doing this for decades, calling all across the country, communicating they've been doing this for decades. Everywhere you've been, in any city you've been in, these people have been communicating in those same cities for decades. They've been networking in the whole country for decades. That's how you need to hear it. So all you're seeing basically is the last result of it. And that's why it looks so unbelievable, but you haven't been taught properly what it is. It's something that's been there for lifetimes, literally 3 and 4 generations. Okay, so of course, how is this gonna look? How's it gonna look after 3 and 4 generations of people? Generations of human beings, whole generations. How it's supposed to look? This is how it's supposed to look. They're able to do this, they're able to do that, they're able to watch your every move because they've been everywhere. That's all it is. So then with that understanding, you realize, okay, this is real, and you're not thinking this is aliens. You're not thinking some weird stuff like aliens involved and all kind of other creatures involved. Nah, this is the result of the oldest fraternity, which is the Freemasons, being able to network successfully in America for generations and lifetimes. That's all this is. And finally, we defeated it. You see? These systems, with that understanding of generations and generations and generations, the systems of America has to fall to destroy the generations of work that these people have done. What's going to destroy it is the systems collapsing. That's what's going to do it. That's what's going to do it. We have to destroy the systems. That's what's going to do it. Once we do that, once we get that done, a Freemason ain't going to be nothing without a network. That how you need to hear it is a Freemason ain't nothing without a network. That's what they rely on. I bet they was the first ones using cell phones, calling everywhere, using cell phones everywhere. Bet they was. Bet they was the first ones. Emails, oh, they love that, didn't it? Emails and free, they love the network. That's all they about. So, the way we beat them is the system. We have, unfortunately, how I look at it is this: the Americans let them run wild like college girls, like girls gone wild. The Americans allowed them to because they're so interwoven into the American community that they just manipulated till they was able to do this to us. They might have wasn't able to do it initially, but they manipulated with the right people until the point where they got to do this to us. So then what? We hold back on the Americans? No, because the Americans were ultimately manipulated to allow them to do this to us. They were manipulated. The United States of America were manipulated by the Freemasons to be able to do this to me and you. This is why we don't hold back on the Americans. Because they were manipulated. They allowed themselves to be manipulated. And that's it. That's the bottom line. I don't babysit people's feelings. I don't babysit people's dumb decisions either. I don't nurse you back to health after you make bad, dumb decisions. You ain't gonna come out of that. You ain't gonna come out of that easy, especially because God is involved. It's over. It's over for you. It's over. And that's the bottom line, man. You just gotta play your position because it's basically over now. We doing real good. See, the good news is through all this witchcraft, the conclusion is we winning and we doing very good. Things didn't go as they planned it. Glory to Yahweh. Things didn't go as they planned it. It's going the way God planned it. It's going the way God wanted to go. It ain't going the way they want it to go. I want you to know that. It's not going the way they want it to go. They desperate. And that's why we can't make any mistakes. We can't make no mistakes. I pray that you be strengthened to make little to no mistakes, because they're gonna try to take advantage of any mistakes we make. That's why it's best to just chill. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the house, chill, relax, because all they looking for is mistakes. All they trying to get is mistakes. Okay, we not looking from love for these people, because see, some of them are trying to get. I done won so much, they showing love now. I done beat them down so bad, they showing love, but love is not my money. Love and money is two different things. Ask a woman. Ask a woman. Ask a real woman, what's the difference between love and money? Love and money is two different ball games. You can't replace one for the other. You got money, you don't got love. You can't use money for love. And if you got love and you ain't got money and you ain't got nowhere to put a woman and y'all on the streets, love cannot replace security. Putting a woman in a place to live, giving her a house, giving her food. Literally, she would die if you don't give her no food. You could love her all day long, but if you ain't got no money, what's going to happen to her? What's going to happen to the woman you love if you ain't got no money? Let's just be technical. She will die. and she will be dead. So love and money is two different animals. I'm not saying one is greater than the other, but love is greater than money. It is greater than money, but yeah, love is greater than money. But I'm not saying both are necessary. Both are absolutely necessary, right? And you can't use love where money is necessary. Okay? And you can't use money where love is necessary. The Bible says money answers all things. Money answers all things. That's in the Bible. Money answers all things. Okay? Okay, but obviously you got to get the right interpretation, because money doesn't answer salvation. So money doesn't answer all things technically, because it can't buy you salvation. So you have to see how you have to. It's not challenging the Bible. It's just putting things in logical concepts and understanding. If money doesn't answer salvation, but the Bible says money answers all things. So can you take it literally? Not based on the Bible itself. You can't, because Jesus came to give us salvation. So obviously money couldn't answer that. Money couldn't answer that. The need for salvation. So how you interpret it is that money answers all things according to the material world. And in the material, yeah. Even if I try to do this message, I gotta have money to do this phone, to make this phone run. I gotta, there's gotta be money involved. I gotta pay this phone bill to keep these messages coming out, So, money answers all things according to the material world. Okay, but it doesn't answer salvation unto salvation. Okay? So, that's a perfect example how you gotta, even though it says all things, it'll be some people who will take that literal more than they supposed to and take it out of context. So you can't lose your mind reading the Bible. And it's okay not to lose your mind, okay? Because, right, it's obvious that money doesn't answer for salvation. But the Bible says money answers all things, right? So you can't, but it's not literal right here, is it? Because obviously, right in the same book or in the same Bible, you see that Jesus gave his life for us, which had nothing to do with money. Money didn't answer that. Money didn't have nothing to do with that. So money has a purpose and love has a purpose. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that ever should ever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Right? That's John 3:16. God so loved the world. That answered the need concerning salvation. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whomsoever shall believe in him should not perish, but shall have everlasting life. Okay? That's what love answered. And love is more powerful, therefore. That's one of the things love answered, in the main and most important thing. And money can't do that. Money has its purpose. Money does things that love can't do. In every scenario, okay? You can't go to the store and say, I love you to the person. And it might work a couple times. But you can't consistently go to the store and say, I love you, can you help me with this? Can you give me this because I love you? It might work a couple times in the right store, but you can't consistently go in the store with love. Okay? So, when it comes to men and the things you've done to men, I am, look at me in the physical aspect. Men are physical in the material. We're part of the material world. If you trespass and hurt a man, that's doing something in the physical world. It has to be met with a physical need. A need has to be met in the physical. You can't step on a man's toes and then use love. You know what I'm saying? To give to the heart of somebody you stepped on tangibly. You see what I'm saying? That you have to answer to the spiritual, to the physical world, the material world. Not trying to answer to the moral world and the spiritual world. It's not going to work. It's not even going to work with a prophet. Nope. It's not going to work. It's not logical. When you step on a man's toes that you don't know, how will we be making up if I don't know you? I don't know you personally. So how far would making up be as a concept between me and you, and why would I even consider it when I don't know you? I'm gonna be very technical to the point of money, and because I don't know you. It's almost like business. Business is said when I don't know you, it's business. It's not personal, it's business. You ever heard people say that all the time? Well, this is the same thing. It's not personal, it's business. It's the same thing. I don't personally know you, so it's not personal. It's on technicality, which is worse for you because it's going to stick out. We don't have any love between us. So all that's going to stick out is the technicalities. That's all that's going to stick out is technicalities, which is when you stepped on my feet, you was wrong about me. This defamation of character is what you did all over the country. That deserves a money. You can't defame somebody around the world like a teenager and don't think you owe a bag. Okay? And you can't use that knockoff love in this retarded group and community to try to conjure up some kind of feelings between me and them. That's retarded to me. It's a retarded program. If you got me in this building so I can make up with Freemasons, it is a retarded program. You see, I said it just right. It's a retarded program, buddy. I'm too grown for that. They owe a bag, and that's all we talking about. Money answers all things in this context. Money is what will get you out of this situation. Not trying to be over here in love. God don't even agree with that because you did something in the tangible world. You have to answer it with money. That's how it goes. You can't know in some situations where you might think it's a matter of love and forgiveness, and when you don't know people and you stepped on them and you try to assassinate their character, that's not a matter of spirituality and emotions. Because you don't know that person. So because you don't know them, it's going to be completely not personal and more business, which means I just take you to court. That's it. I don't know you. I'm taking you to court. I don't have any feelings, which means I'm not going to feel right with love from you. I don't know you. And then you done wrong. So how you going to conjure up something that wasn't there? There was never no love there. So how's love going to be there after what's being done? You see what I'm saying? It don't work like that, buddy. And you can't manipulate none of these American systems and act like that's love. These systems can be given to a bum, a homeless person. And I don't mean that in the sense of poverty. I'm going to say it like this. It can be given to a bum, a low-life person that don't got no morals. And they can get food stamps, they can get housing from HASA, they can get all of this. So what is my reward when this same stuff can be given to a bum? A person that is a pedophile. I know they done been through HASA. You telling me ain't no pedophiles been through HASA? Ain't never happened. That's a lie. That's a lie. We know that. It's done been pedophiles that come through here. It's done been rapists that probably done came through here and everything. Okay, so then if you give me what is common to even pedophiles or rapists, what is the reward in something so common? How can you say that's the reward for what you've done? When this same stuff you give in this same system, EBT, cash assistance, rapists and pedophiles are getting EBT and food stamps. They're eating in your country, whether you like it or not. Pedophiles are eating in your country right now off of EBT. Can you accept that? So then don't stop acting like you're doing me some great favor when you feeding pedophiles at the same time. When you act like you can't halfway stand for me to eat, you feeding pedophiles right across town. And I know that. You know how I know that? Because I'm a real man in the real world. And I know somewhere in this country, you're feeding pedophiles with EBT and cash assistance. They getting the money and the food stamps. So my point is this. Stop acting like you're doing me some great favor and get my real money, which most men couldn't get in their lifetime. That's what I'm looking for. The uncommon money, the uncommon bag. Until then, man, stop boasting of things that you think you're doing for me, that you're also doing for pedophiles, that you're also doing for bums, that you're also doing for rapists. They live off your system, and you act like you're doing something for me. Ironically, you're feeding pedophiles with EBT. You're feeding pedophiles with cash assistance. You're giving pedophiles HASA housing and apartment assistance and housing assistance. That's common sense. You telling me everybody walk through there, ain't none of them? Come on, man. Of course. So it's common. That's my point. And you're acting like you're doing something uncommon for me. That's how you have to talk to people. They act like they're doing something grand and great for you, and then a bum somewhere else is getting the same thing. With no pressure, no trying to see who this person is. I mean, he's a straight bum. Racist people getting the EBT. Racist people ain't getting food stamps. Oh, and black racist people are getting food stamps too. Oh yeah. And basically, any type of thing that's immoral, you're feeding them. You're feeding any type of person that you can think about. You feeding them. People that have sex with animals, bestiality, oh, you feeding some of them. You feeding them and the dog. The dog they got that they having sex with, you feeding the dog and them. You feeding them and the dog they having sex with. See, the prophet lives in the real world. I don't know what else to be like. I live in the real world. I pay attention. I'm aware of the real world. That's how you know I ain't no space cadet. That's how you know I ain't no brainwashed person. I can sit here and tell you what's going on now. These present wars, all this stuff that's going on. This snowstorm, you know, some people so whacked out, they don't even know what's going on with the snow. Oh, it's a whole bunch of snow out there. They don't know nothing about the snowstorm. They ain't watched it at all. They have not watched it one time. Oh, it ain't true? Yeah, it is true. There's people that didn't even watch the news. They didn't even watch the news. They're not even aware of the snow that's coming. So it's no easy way out of this situation. I'm just letting you know. You know what I'm saying? You can't play me like I'm Willie with like I'm an okey doke. You understand? You play if you think I'm just one person, then all I challenge you to look at is Noah. I can give you one person all day. Noah. Moses. I can give you one person all day to still show you in trouble. Moses was one person. Destroyed Egypt. Defeated Egypt. One man. Moses. The children of Israel wasn't really doing nothing. They ain't really doing nothing. It was Moses in his position. Glory to God. So if you think that God, that makes common sense to me. God is so powerful, he can use one person. That's just how powerful God is. He could use no person. He could use no person to do what he want to do, let alone one person. So he can't use one person. He could use no person. And then it comes back to understanding the power of God. Even when you move one person away, okay, why can't God do this to this American community? So I just come into place, and God is God, and he can do what he want to do to this community. You get it? That's it. So while you're hung up on the concept of me, all you need to look at is God and what he can do. Hallelujah. And God can destroy this community, can he? Yes, 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 yes. That's where we at. Okay? So I'm going to keep coming back on witchcraft and how we going to handle this in the realm of the spirit, because it needs to be understood. I got to keep coming back on it, keep coming back on it. It's just going to take time. It's just going to take time.